Suppose none of you are wondering why I became a communist. There are a few reasons for this. One, essentially, I wanted to look for alternative political affiliations, as the independent affiliation I've had for some time doesn't seem to be good enough anymore. A lot of this has to do with the recent idiocy of the GOP, their flat refusal to work on anything at all, and their posturing of basically just shutting down anything the president would like to do. Their opposition to it is just based on that one thing: they don't like the president. That's not good enough. I didn't like it when it was happening under George Bush, when the Democrats were doing the same exact kind of situation. They kind of hated on whatever he had in mind. Another thing was this recent enlightenment of just the kind of shenanigans the United States has been involved with over the last several decades, since World War II and even really before that, but focusing mainly on the latter part of the 20th century. The 80s, for instance, 70s and 80s actually, to be more specific, when the United States funded, trained, and supported death squads in El Salvador, supported the just dictators throughout the Latin American sphere, trying to knock down any kind of socialist movement that was down there, trying to depose dictators and establish a more egalitarian society. This is something that, when you really look into exactly what was going on, tens of thousands of people were murdered, infrastructure destroyed, the whole systems of, institutions, economic systems destroyed, ruined for decades to come, to follow. Places like Nicaragua, who basically won, I believe it was Nicaragua, who won a decision in the World Court when they went to the UN, and the UN and the World Court basically ruled against the United States and ordered that they cease and desist all aggression against that country and to pay restitution for the damage that they had already caused. The U.S. said, no way, not going to do it. We're the most powerful nation in the world. You can't do anything about it, so you're irrelevant. And we've just done this sort of same thing. This has been our major export throughout the Middle East. We've seen this with Iran, helping to overthrow a democratically elected government in 1954 because they dared to believe that their natural resources should be kind of theirs. They should be able to reap the benefit of that, and not British and American oil companies. Well, that, we can't tolerate that, so we had to knock that out and install the U.S.-friendly Shah, who ruled with an iron fist, and finally that led to the Islamic Revolution of 1979. So we see sort of this kind of trend where we speak about democracy and freedom around the world and this sort of thing, and our ideals and everything, and it turns out in reality, the practical reality is we couldn't be any further from that truth, the polar opposite, in fact. And you just kind of look at all the accomplishments that followed, and you can kind of see the sort of basic narrative underlying anything that we do. And in public policy, we see that you can almost guarantee the pass or failure of a policy based on whether or not it will benefit the elite 1%, the rich individuals who are basically sort of the shadow government, if you will, with their monetary power behind candidates, CPACs and all this kind of thing, so where they kind of have sort of subverted the democratic process in the United States. And I don't think we can really look at the democratic process, in quotes, as being functional in the United States. Not when corporations and private interests and billionaires sort of have that control, and the people are very removed from any kind of, legitimate or decisions, policy-wise or otherwise, whether it be foreign policy, public policy in the United States, etc. That's another major reason. I've also been pushed further to the left from independent to Communist Party USA as a result of a lot of the hatred coming out of the GOP, or hatred coming out of sectors of the community who despise equal rights based on some sort of Bible text or text of any other religion, essentially mythology books that they have gotten a sort of a moral standards from, which is fine if you want to. I'm not a hater. I am an atheist, but I'm not a hater. If you want to believe in a deity and help that guide you, I know in psychological studies we have found that evidence to support that the premise or the hypothesis, if you will, that people who have religious faith tend to score higher on happiness. So I'm not a hater. I know there's a lot of good that comes out of that, but also I'm seeing a lot of the negative, and especially in the United States with fundamentalism and this sort of thing that's sort of driven a sort of Taliban mentality of, you know, we want to impose our biblical values on society and deny people their civil rights as a result of that, and just bigots in the culture being celebrated, this sort of thing. It just kind of pushed me away and sort of created this major fundamental shift in my philosophy, and I've had a couple of these shifts over my lifetime. Anyway, these are some of the reasons why I've chosen to become a member of the Communist Party USA, and I thought people who don't care would probably not watch this video and find out those reasons. Essentially, CPUSA, you know, we supported an egalitarian society based on socialist ideals, and in which all the needs of all the citizens are taken care of, and people before profits is sort of the kind of slogan that goes along with that, and I'm a firm believer in that, and I do believe that if we don't do something to transform this government away from the current capitalist corporatocracy, then we're going to be in big trouble in the future. And anyway, that's the basic bottom line reasons why I have joined the Communist Party USA. And there you go.